You only have 1 second to grab somebody's attention. Are you frustrated that even though you have the best product or service on the market, your competitors are selling way more than you? Well, there's a reason for that. You're not grabbing people's attention the same way they are. In this video, I'm going to teach you the ultimate marketing hack that will get everyone to stop what they're doing and notice your brand. It's what I call the 1 second rule, the ultimate marketing hack that can be applied to ads, product labels, your company identity, you name it. Hello, my name is Eric Sharp, and I help companies craft a brand identity that gets them noticed. Ever wonder why some ads grab your attention while others don't? Well, there's a reason for that, and it may not be what you think. Today, we're diving into the 1 second rule of marketing that the top brands use to grab your attention in the blink of an eye. By the time this video is over, we'll uncover the secret to making your brand impossible to ignore. In a world bombarded with information, catching someone's attention in that first second is critical. Why? Well, if you stand back and observe customer behavior, you'll quickly realize that initial fleeting moment is all the time you have to capture someone's attention. For example, someone's scrolling on social media. Their swiping action can almost be synced up with the second hand of a clock. 1 second, 1 second. Or the head movements as a shopper as they're cruising down the aisle. 1 second, 1 second. So, like it or not, 1 second is all you have to get them to notice your social media ad or your product label. But how do you achieve this? It all comes down to one word: contrast. Let's dive into the psychology of this and how you can apply it to stand out in a sea of sameness. The mind instinctively seeks what stands out from the norm. It's not just about seeing, it's about noticing. Therefore, when everything around us blurs into a sea of sameness, our brains latch on to anything that breaks that pattern. It's this psychological underpinning that makes the 1 second rule so effective. By leveraging contrast, we can trigger the viewer's curiosity and grab their attention. Let's dive into how this works. So I'm going to use the same method that my firm uses to beta test our ads and product labels. It's called the 1 second test. The way this works is I take 6 ads of equal size and place them on a board. I then flash that board in front of the viewer for 1 second. I then ask the test subject, so your eye went to one of those ads? And they say yes. And I show them the board again. I say, well, which one was it? And then they point to an ad. And what's truly fascinating is how this test reveals how subliminal these tactics really are. Because I'll always ask a test subject, well, why did you pick that ad? And most of the time they say, I'm not really sure. And then I'll point out the properties that made that ad different from the rest, and then they'll say, oh wow, I didn't even realize that. So there are dozens of tricks that you can utilize to make this happen. I'm going to go over 3 very big ones. Number 1 is color. Number 2 is human shapes and figures. And number 3 is shapes. Let's dive into the 1 second test, starting with test number 1. So in this test, the vast majority of respondents chose the image on the top left. Why? Well, all these ads are very colorful except for the ad on the top left, which is black and white with some red spot color. That's a huge contrasting factor, and it draws your eye in. Test number 2. So in this test, the vast majority of respondents chose the top right. Why? Human figures. While all of these other ads are relying on shapes in their design, the ad on the top right has people in it. Now this method is really powerful since the human eye tends to focus and process the human or even animal faces on an image first. So if your competitors aren't using human faces or figures, you definitely should. But what if they are? Well, this can go the other way as well. If all the other brands are focusing on human imagery, it's also possible to create contrast by being the one brand that isn't. Now that's harder to do since, like I said, the brain is hardwired to go to the human imagery first. But if you're really creative and really know what you're doing, it's possible to break through all that sameness and craft an image that gets noticed first. Test number 3. So in this example, we aren't just introducing a new element, which stresses a vector-based graphic design theme to cut through, but we're also playing off the opposite themes of the other 2 tests. Even though our eyes are trained to gravitate towards human faces and imagery, this example shows that when all your competitors are relying on that type of ad or label, going against the grain and having no people cuts through more. Same applies for color. In example number 1, all but one of the ads used a large variety of bold, bright colors. So the one ad that had a lack of color is the one that stood out. Here, the competition was going for a more muted look for color, and therefore the bright colors are what stood out. Once again, it's all about going against the grain and doing the opposite of what your competitors are doing. So how can you leverage this in your marketing? Start by analyzing your competition in both the physical and digital marketplaces where your ad or product will be displayed. Are there any common themes that everybody is using? If so, do the opposite. If they're using a lot of bright colors, go for a sleek black and white design. If they're going for a mellow type of feeling, use excitement. Leverage the design elements that your competitors aren't using and leverage that to make your product stand out. In today's fast-paced world, your message needs to land quickly. But remember, it's not about being loud, it's about being different. So stand out, make every moment count, and watch your brand grow. Found this video intriguing? Then subscribe for more insightful tricks to upgrade your marketing game. And if you want to elevate your brand to the next level, you can hire myself and the Maker Minds team. Just follow the link in the comments to book a free discovery call. So until next time, keep challenging the norms and make every second count.